What up, boys? I'm back. Been on vacation for the past week, y'all. Went down to the beach and then got rained on every day, so that worked out nicely. But anyways, we're back. And because we're back and I haven't touched the game in a week, we're doing Underrot because I still don't have Siege content and I still don't feel like doing still don't feel like doing Motherload. So, we're going to walk through Underrot today. This is my favorite dungeon of BFA. I think it's the best put together dungeon of BFA. What is this? 24 Temple Nerf. I haven't played with Nerf in like 3 weeks. So we're gonna look at all the boys. First of all, ticks. They explode when you die. Cloak affects the explosion. And let me get, come on, put it on me. This little boy, Blood Moth, is a bleed that it puts on either the tank, or if the tank is out of melee range, it puts it on the next closest person. Parry affects the bleed, which is pretty important as you get up to higher keys. Usually, if you're doing only one pack of ticks, you're going to want to cloak and parry on the one pack. If you're going to do both in your pathing, I would use defensives on this pack. Because usually this pack, you're like, nobody dies on the first one. Because you have everything up. Everybody has everything up. Whereas if you do this pack, whether you do that next or you do that after the pack with the matron up here, you're going to have less things up. Like the rest of your group, as far as like healer cooldowns, is kind of what I'm talking about here. So I use parry and cloak on those. And your tank is going to have less up. So he's probably going to kite you earlier, so you're probably going to get more of the bleeds. Let's talk about specifically the maggot and this matron. First of all, matron sees stealth, so be careful. You can skip the matron, though, by sapping the maggot and going around and doing all this shit behind her and killing her before her pack goes. But I like the matron. I like doing these two matrons at the front. Let's see if I can get her to do what I want her to do. So Maggot has a 15-second cooldown, or no, it's like 12-second cooldown. Cast on Rot and Bile, Gouge, Blind, Stun, all those things work. Okay, please cast it. Look, alright, Maggot is Warcry, has a Warcry buff. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Wow, it faded first. Warcry again. Do it again. Alright, let's see. Oh, I guess they either fixed it or on normal mode it doesn't do that. Anyways, if you are not running with a Soothe in your group, this is the point I was trying to make, and we'll talk about these abilities more in a second. If you're not running with a Druid or a Hunter in your group or something with a Soothe, I highly recommend not pulling the Maggot with the Matron. So because I'm on normal, I think the scaling of how strong Warcry is fucked. But when the Maggot is affected by Warcry, which increases the cast speed of their bullshit, it is incredibly difficult to get the Gouge or the CC or the whatever on the Maggot before the cast finishes. And then for whatever reason, when it's Warcry, the cast functions in a way where even if you gouge, like it's going off. Like you're not stopping this is kind of what I'm trying to say. So the Soothe target when you have a Maggot in the group is always the Maggot. So if your Druid doesn't Soothe and then your group flames you because everybody dies to the Bile and you didn't stop it, call your Druid a bitch. Or your Hunter a bitch. Do either of those things. But make sure they're doing that. As far as the Matrons go, the Warcry cast we've been talking about just buffs everything around them. Makes them attack faster. And they do cleave. We're Outlaw, so it's really easy to dodge cleave. And if you pull the... We'll talk about this pack in combination too, because sometimes you pull this Matron with this pack. And the Headhunters cast a little net. Little root on the ground. If you're going to get hit by a cleave and you're rooted, you can vanish the cleave off. Or you can vanish the root off, rather. So you're already rooted, you're chilling. Vanish breaks roots. Okay, it does. I was always wondering if like tooltips say these things or we have to figure them out. And the tooltip does say. Also breaks movement and parrying effects. So, don't get hit by a cleave. Just vanish. Headhunters otherwise just target random people and kill them. I actually prefer killing one Headhunter to killing the Priest first in this group as like the priority target. Because if there's only one priest in the group, you can pretty much handle all the kicks. And those kicks are... Let's sap this bitch and kill all the headhunters. How about that? How's that sound? Alright, so the cast that she has Blood Bolts, which just hit the tank. They can be spell reflected. They can be interrupted. She casts Dark Reconstitution, which has a pretty long cast time. And that heals something to full. Like something in combat, it will heal to full. And the other cast is Gift of Cahoon. Gift of Cahoon is a double damage buff to whatever target it puts it on. And it prevents that target from dying. So if you play Horde, you can kind of ignore the gifts. And just make sure you have a torrent for everyone. That's why you saw it in MDI. I have still not, actually, separate thought. I still have to watch day 2 and 3 in full of MDI. So we'll get to that. We'll do that later this weekend probably. Because I went on vacation and I didn't watch. It was at 4 in the morning. I didn't spend vacation time watching the VODs. So here we'll see the Blood Bolts here. Cast your shit. You have to kick these casts, by the way. To get them to not cast again. Maybe it won't cast Gift or heal on normal. Anyways, moral of the story is both the Gift and the heal cast need to be kicked in order to prevent the recast. These kind of work like the, if you guys watch the Ataldazar video, the Venom Blasters, what are they called? The Witch Doctors in Ataldazar, where if you use Gouge or a stun or some sort of disrupt to interrupt the Venom Blast, they will not always recast the very next cast, but the cast has not gone on cooldown. So they will recast it within the next cast or 3. I think it's either the next cast, the second to next cast, or the third. Always. It's never delayed any longer than that. So just make sure you're calling out kicks for the heal. If you're Horde side, make sure you're calling out torrents for the gift so that you can save kicks. Be wary of spell reflex, because the Blood Bolts do a lot of damage, and you want to let your warrior spell reflect if you're running with one.
Savage Cleave.
And on these packs, if the Matron is in it, vanish out of the snares if you're going to get hit by the cleave. Or if it's just to help you position to do more damage. Just be looking to use vanish both offensively and defensively on that pull. Fuck, I went the wrong way. Spirit, we're just gonna kill this pack real quick. Spirit, you can stun the Dark Omen, you can gouge the Dark Omen, and you can kick the Harrowing Despair. Dark Omen is not a huge deal because it just targets one person and channels damage on them. And you want to make sure that you are... Oh, fuck. You want to make sure that you are spread so that you do not hit other people with the Dark Omen if it's on you. Dark Omen can also be cloaked.
War Cry.
If it's on you, it can also be vanished if it's on you to reduce damage. You'll see, he just picks somebody and channels a little beam at him. Let's eat some food. While we're waiting to pull this boss. Can I kill this boss without dying on normal? Probably. And then the Harrowing Despair can be kicked. So, we're rogues though, so we have Shroud, and this is a really good Shroud pack. I think the only reason you ever really want to pull this pack is if you're setting up reaping timers to do first reaping with the boss. But doing reaping with the boss fucks with spell reflect on this boss a little bit. Or it can fuck with spell reflect on this boss, so I don't know that it's even worth it to try to get reaping on this boss, even in like an MDI setting. I'm still not sure what my brain thinks. The advantage of pulling reaping with this boss, if you're looking at later, is that basically what it breaks down to is your first reaping is going to be on like your first pack over here after the first boss if you don't pull this, which means you're going to be in combat for a while, and if you're trying to utilize pre-pots and like you kill the next pack plus the reaping that spawns over here while you're waiting for all this bullshit to run down to you, it means you don't get a pre-pot for the next pack because you're still in combat with this reaping that's running here. So it's like very minor, the advantages of it. And I hate that pack. I don't see anybody pull that pack on live keys or do 20% reaping with this boss on live keys. I think that's an MDI only thing. And I'm still not totally sold on it for MBI either. I think it's obviously a very good pathing, and this pack is not spooky on those key levels. Well, it's much less spooky. That's why you see it done. Anyways, let's kill Leaxa. She casts Blood Bolts. You kick them. Usually the tank will call kicks, but if you're a gamer or your tank isn't, you can call kicks. You can also vanish the cast off. Like sometimes you'll, if the tank doesn't pick up threat on the off target, the blood mirror here, it can sometimes be a good thing because you can vanish it. Like it'll target you if you pick up threat. You can vanish it off, you can cloak it off, you can do all sorts of like wild shit to remove them. But with a, if you're running 3 melee, kicks are really fucking easy. Even if you're not running 3 melee, kicks are easy. You have 3 people kick the boss plus spell reflect, and then 1 person gets the first one on the ad, and then the young lad, the warrior, will spell reflect the ad cast, and that should kill the ad depending on the key level. So that boss is just kicks. There's nothing at all to talk about. Outlaw Rogue actually owns on that boss though. Blade Flare stacks, like our 2 target is so good. And then based on like what your damage is, you can decide whether you need to hit the ad or hit the boss. I prefer to just hit the boss. Usually spell reflect is enough, but again, it depends on the key level, whether or not the reflect on the blood bolt is going to kill the bitch ass. You know what I'm saying? Maggots we talked about. Rotten bile. This is something that you should definitely just be communicating with your group. You can handle this shit for an eternity. Gouge, blind, gouge between the eyes, gouge between the eyes, gouge, stun, vanish, cheap shot. Like you have all sorts of shit. You can use engineering belt if you want, like a little knockback from the energy belt. Oh, excuse me, I'm fucking tired, boys. I'm sorry. That's that. Living rots don't do shit. If you have nothing to kick. Like, if you are not assigned a kick in your group, kick wave, random wave of the case. But usually you're going to be assigned a kick because there's a lot of shit to kick. Let's talk about this lad. Disease Lashers, 1 cast, 15-second cooldown. Decaying Mind needs to be kicked. So this is like, you get into this room, just start marking shit. Start putting marks on Lashers and Bloodstormers. As soon as you get in here. I don't care if you're not the group leader, you're not the tank, whatever. Just start tossing them up. Especially if you're in like a pug and you're not in a stable group that you have like certain markers you use. Just start tossing them up there. Like, yoing, 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 yoing. Where's my square? Just get in there. Binds for a couple markers. 4 is, I have 4 markers bound. 2 things that are really comfortable to hit for me. It's scroll wheel up, scroll wheel down, and then alt scroll wheel up and alt scroll wheel down is how I mark shit. But you bind them wherever. I think it's really useful to have them bound. This pack is on live keys pretty nice, the Lashers. It's a nice way to get reaping whenever you want. It's also like pretty free percent. Like Lashers are pretty free when you're only pulling 4 to 5 mobs together. It's when you're trying to do like giga pulls that Lashers become an issue because you have too many, right? But live keys is usually 4 to 5 mobs. Maybe 6 if you're feeling really spicy. But so that's a good pack. Just make sure you're getting the kick on the Decaying Mind. Also, track your kick cooldown as well. Because sometimes you'll be like 1 second or even like 0.1 second off of being able to get your kick for the next Decaying Mind. And if that is the situation, please use Gouge or Blind or Stun or something. Like I'll often just target, I won't target my kick target, right? So I'll be fighting something else. I'll have, say I'm Triangle. I'll have Triangle focused. I'll be hitting something else, blah, blah, blah. Make sure that I'm not stun DRing my kick target. Usually I try to be, I mean, usually you're pulling a Bloodstormer, so you're hitting that. Or if it's a pack with Living Rots, honestly, I'm just targeting Living Rots. Because I know somebody else is hard focusing lashers, and they're gonna die way earlier than the living rots, and that's not efficient on time. So I'm just blasting the living rots. But anyways, moral of the story is then when your kick has like, I don't know, you figure the cast is what, 2 seconds? It's a second, 2 seconds. Your kick has like 6 or 7 seconds left on your kick. I'll just stun the one that I'm gonna kick next to make sure that my kick will be up for it. Like even if the cooldown for Decaying Mind came up early, it's stunned, so it can't cast it. So my kick will be up. So little things like that they actually do make a big difference. I was gonna say they're like nice, but they don't make a big difference, but they do. Making sure that you never have issues, or you don't have to call for a backup kick, or you don't have to have somebody get stunned is like a really big deal. So do that, yeah, definitely do that. Now we got Bloodswarmers. Bloodswarmers are the entire way you pull this room is based around Bloodswarmers. You almost never want to pull a pack with 2 Bloodswarmers in it. Sometimes you can get away with chaining some Bloodswarmers in. So you'll like burn one down and then you'll pull the next one. Like that'll happen in this area and it'll happen with these 2 in the back. Bolstering weak makes that a little bit more difficult. So be careful. But Bloodswarmers have 2 things they do. They cast Sonic Screech, which does AoE damage and interrupts spellcasting on a 15-second cooldown. And they fixate boys and go beat the shit out of them. They melee with shadow damage, so you have to use cloak. Parry is not good enough if you are fixated. You can also... So, here's the big brain strat for Bloodswarmers, okay? They fixate somebody. They start casting Sonic Screech. If they never finish the Sonic Screech cast, or they're never interrupted, they just keep casting Sonic Screech, right? So, depending on how tank damage is in this situation, when they start casting Sonic Screech, as long as somebody gets like a gouge or a stun on it at the beginning so that the druid can prep for it, your druid can just spam Hibernate during the Sonic Screech cast, and it'll stop the cast without interrupting it, and he'll just keep casting Sonic Screech forever and ever and ever, basically. And then eventually he's probably going to have to heal the tank, and you don't get to do that anymore. But it's very good to delay Sonic Screech cast as long as you can, because while he's trying to do that, he's not trying to melee whoever he's fixated on. And the more time spent not meleeing whoever he's fixated on, the more time spent healer DPSing, the more time with that person being able to be in range to DPS, the less risk there is for anybody to die, all sorts of shit. Your Between the Eyes should always go into the Bloodswarmers. You want them to die first. Even bolstering weak, dude, fuck it. Bolster the rest of the pack. It's worth to get this guy to die. You'll probably kill the pack faster by killing this first, bolstering everything giga, and then killing the rest of the pack, because you effectively like lose a DPS. If this goes on a DPS, you're pretty much not DPSing for most of that pack. It's very difficult to get full value damage while kiting that shit out. It's a little easier for Outlaw because of our increased range, so we can kind of like dance around the pack away from the Bloodswarmer. But for other classes, it's not so easy. And then maggots we've also seen. A lot of this room is just managing your CCs, right? And by CCs, I mean like disrupts and interrupts. You can often handle a maggot plus one of the kicks. You just have to be good with your focus macros or with swapping targets, whatever you're more comfortable with. I like to focus the maggot and then like set my maggot to focus and then target whatever else I need to. And then I'll just like swap targets for kicks. That's it. This whole room is a combination of all the things we kind of just talked about. Bloodswarmers are demons. Living rots do nothing. Maggots need to be handled. And
Sonic Screech. Sonic Screech.
Oh shit. I didn't. Alright. I'm fucking trolling. Am I gonna die here?
Rotten Bile.
No, it doesn't last long enough.
Thirst for blood. Sonic Screech. Decaying Mind.
I wasn't thinking that I had a lasher in the back.
Rotten Bile.
So I just handled the maggot, but I didn't get the kick. Wow, this is so obnoxious to solo. I gotta be so worried about these young lads. But you saw me be fixated there and cloaked, and that was nice. But They still do like a lot of damage on normal, man. What the fuck? I didn't think that was gonna be an issue. We got the maggot focus. We're gonna pull one of these. You can also everything in this
Rotten
room.
Blood.
Well, not everything.
Sonic Screech.
You can sap all the shit except the rots and the lashers, which maybe the way I should have said that was, you can sap the blood swarmers and the maggots, which could be useful with like setting up pulls how you want, right? Like say you want to get the blood swarmer that was here plus this rot, this lasher, and these rots, but you have to run by this boy.
Thirst for blood.
So you just sap that boy, pull
Decaying
everything
Mind.
back, and now you're chilling.
Rotten Vial.
Please don't let me die here. Don't let me die. Come on. Oh, I guess this bullshit on the ground is what the rots do. I didn't even talk about it because it's like a non-thing. But just don't run through it. Running through it is much better than standing in one of the explosions. So like the little circles you did see before is where they're going to explode. And that shit does big damage. Running through this doesn't tick that hard. But definitely try to not take more than one tick. Don't be a bad boy. We got Kragmaw next. Kragmaw does 3 things. 4 things. He does 3 things, all of which spawn ticks. So spawning ticks is the 4th thing. He does a charge, where he picks a random non-tank and charges at him. Does a lot of damage. He does indigestion, where he picks the tank and throws up on him. And he does tantrum, where he runs around in a circle and does big AoE damage. Outlaw's sick on this fight for clears. So he'll always do his first one after a tantrum, or his first one on the pull. You don't know if it's going to be charge or tantrum. Or charge or indigestion. Fuck, man. I forgot the exact order, because Bigwig's, like, tracks it now. So I stopped tracking it. Bigwigs just tells me what the hell is going to happen. But anyways. He will always do, what, 2 charges and 1 indigestion in between each phase? Yeah. 2 charges, 1 indigestion. It's random which one happens first. Also, something I remembered before I get a bazillion fucking questions. My chest piece is spec'd for assassination because I was fucking around with some stuff. That's why I have this stupid snake eyes piece on. Please don't leave that comment. I love you, but don't. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Okay? Okay. So we fight Kragmaw. See, Bigwigs tracks it now. So I turned it off in my brain. Anyways, the reason we are so good on this boss for clears is because you have sprint and hook up for every tantrum. So you have to run over these little fucking jabroni boys to make it so the ticks don't spawn. I'm gonna take a big indigestion here. Nice. You got invisible ones? So now he's gonna charge again. I think on normal he actually might not tantrum, even though Bigwigs is saying that he will, so I won't be able to show this. I vaguely remember queuing normal dungeons while leveling, and him not doing tantrum here. Ooh, ooh. Yo, we got big clears. Let's see if he doesn't tantrum. Anyways, so I like to put markers around in like different corners of the room, and then you kind of just call dibs on where you're gonna be, and you soak there. So you'll have sprint and you'll have hook. Oh shit! We have to parry cloak and kill these boys. That's a lot of ticks.
Charge.
Alright, we gotta kill this boss. So you should just call dibs on a corner pretty much, and then you'll take care of that corner. Very easy to. You can also be a little bit liberal with your sprint or your hook, one of the two, during the phase previous, and probably have it back up for the phase. Sprint is definitely more valuable during soak phase than hook is. So what I like to do is after a charge, like the first charge, I'll hook onto the boss so I don't lose so much uptime. It's just like little minor details, right? Like minor, like 1 extra global or 2. Instead of having to run to the boss, I'm at the boss because I hooked to him. But I try to not use sprint during the main phase. So I always have sprint for tantrum. Sprint is invaluable. These packs, Reanimated Guardians do Bone Shield. That's all they do. They cast it once every 15 seconds. It puts a buff on them that is a shield. If you have a free kick, definitely mark one of these boys and kick it. Even a lot of people at like the top end don't do this. Like in so many pug groups I joined, like I don't know, like 3,500 players. People don't kick bone shields. It doesn't make any sense to me. Until I'm like, mark a boy, pick up a kick. Don't sit on your kick. That's a big rule of Underrot. Do not sit on your kick. If you're not assigned to a kick, kick something. I don't care what it is, just kick it. Death Speakers, Wicked Frenzy does tank damage. You can delay it with Disrupt, so like stuns, gouge, whatever the fuck you want to do. Blind also works. Vanish Cheap Shot works. So you can delay Wicked Frenzy. You'll have to decide if you want to do that. With a Warrior Tank, they can Spell Reflect the dot that they get from it, and then have the Druid just soothe the buff off, and it does big damage. So sometimes it's worth letting it go off. You can also do the same thing with the Raise Dead that they cast, right? So Raise Dead needs to be kicked in order for it to stop recasting. So if you gouge, or you blind, or you stun, or whatever, he'll just try to cast Raise Dead for his whole life. And that means he's doing nothing. So be aware of that. Make judgment calls. Communicate with your tank and your healer throughout the pull. Hey, do you need me to delay this so that the next boy doesn't go off? They say no. And you're like, alright, I'll kick it then. They say yes. And you're like, alright, I'll do a bunch of weird shit to it because I'm an Outlaw Rogue and I can just do everything. And then that's that. You can also Arcade Torrent off the Bone Shield. So if your jabronis are trash and don't kick stuff, you can you hit it with the Arcane Torrent. This boy just cast Death Bolt a bunch of times. You need 3 kicks to get them all. Call your kicks. There's nothing more to say about this. Do not let that go off. Then we have these 2 boys. I do not want the worm with this. Death Speaker plus a Defiler. You need 2 kicks per Defiler to get everything, assuming that you are letting the totem go off. First one is Withering Curse. We're going to let Raise Dead go off here because we don't care.
Withering Curse.
Withering Curse is a bad boy, man. That man's... Alright, I killed him too fast. Withering Curse makes you do less damage. You do not want that. Always kick Withering Curse. And he will always cast Curse first. He casts in a sequence. He goes Curse, then Shadow Ball Volley, then Totem. Then Curse, then Shadow Ball Volley, then Totem. Sometimes for whatever reason, he skips the Totem cast, but I don't know why he does it. And it's super random, and it's also very rare that he does it. So on packs like that, where you have a Defiler and a mob that needs 1 kick, you can kick everything on Defiler. So you can assign somebody to the totem. Whereas on this pack, where you have 2 mobs that need 2 kicks, you have to let the totems go off here. So you assign somebody to the Defiler, or to the... let's say we mark them, right? Somebody to Moon first, somebody to Moon second, somebody to X first, X second, and then both are letting the totems go off. You move out of range of the totems, and then it's back to first kicks. Is how we'll usually call it in our groups. So on this one...
Withering Curse. Withering Curse.
Oh, no. Oh, you can cloak this off, though. That's what I'm going to do.
Shadow Bolt Volley.
Also, Withering Curse is probably more worth kicking than Shadow Ball Volley. If something gets scuffed, and you have to let a volley go off, and you're not on, like, a giant key, once you're, like, pat into, like, the 20s range, probably definitely don't let Shadow Ball Volleys go off. But, like, below 20s, it doesn't do enough damage to be all that much stress on the healer. And kicking Withering Curse is going to help you out more than kicking the Shadow Ball Volley. So, if you're in, like, a scuffed pug group, and nobody's in voice, and you have no idea what anybody's going to kick, and there's a curse going off, but you're like, oh shit, I want to save this for Shadow Ball Volley. Don't do that. Just kick the curse. This young lad punches you in the head. There's not really much to say here. We're good at soaks. Make sure you have a cloak for the first set. The first set is usually the sketchiest as far as getting all the soaks goes.
Shockwave.
Can I outrange that? Oh, I don't know. Dude, I'm learning. I gotta learn my tank stuff. Nice.
Shockwave.
You want to go far from the boss there on the upheaval. Sorry, I was like thinking about my life there for a second. You want to go far from the boss based on the upheavals because they have like a travel time. See, I couldn't get out of that one because I'm right next to the boss.
Shockwave.
Let's see if I can outrange. You can. Cool.
Festering harvest.
Uh-oh, this is bad. Am I dead?
Boundless
I gotta
Frost.
kill this guy, like, now. Or I'm going to die. But anyways, drop your upheavals to soak. Cloak if you really need it. Nice, dude. If I fucked up that hook, I would have sucked dick. Soak with upheavals. Communicate your cloak. Like, you might not need a cloak. If there's only, like, one or two, a tank can just take them and then get a dispel if you have a monk in the group, or, like, somebody has AMS, which is, like, if you have a DK, AMS is a shorter cooldown. You can also use things like Ice Block, Hunter Turtle, like, there's a lot of things you could do. These young boys, actually, we'll talk about those young boys later. Good pull here is Defiler plus this 5-pack. That stuff on the left, don't even think about it. It's all the same mobs over here, so we're not going to talk about them. But just don't pull it, dude. Don't think about it. So this is a good little fiber for you.
Withering Frenzy.
You have a situation where you can kick everything on the Defiler, so you don't have to move out of totems. And then you have a Death Speaker to kill. Oh shit, I'm getting owned by Wicked
Rage
Frenzy.
Death.
So you have 1 kick on the Death Speaker, 3 kicks on the Defiler, and then once either of them die, start kicking Guardians. Please. Start kicking Guardians. Oh, we cheated on this build. We didn't have any of our defensive shit up, really. So Bone Shields aren't going off. Or have Torrents ready. Or do something. You're trying to make the dungeon faster. If the mob puts a shield on him for half of his HP, that is not faster. That is slower. You don't want that. This is a good Shroud spot. You don't need Shroud to get through here. You can do the same thing with Distract and just jumping over. Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep. But a little safety Shroud. Underrot's full of safety Shrouds, right? You Shroud there. Sometimes you Shroud that little thing I stealth through there, too. These bitch asses. Maddening Gaze. Abyssal Reach. So Abyssal Reach will put a bunch of tentacles, which will attack where the people are standing when Abyssal Reach cast finishes. So if you move from side to side of this little area over here, you'll never get hit by them. But that doesn't always work out, does it? Maddening Gaze, frontal, dodge it. Does a shitload of damage and fears you. You can cloak it though. So if you're in front of it and you're like, fuck, I'm fucked, you can cloak that shit. I've never been hit by an Abyssal Reach ever in my entire time playing this game, so I don't know if it's magic or physical, but I'm pretty sure it's cloakable as well. Pretty sure it's physical or it's magic. But I've never been hit by one in my whole life, so I have no actual evidence. I don't know. I didn't even really... Sometimes I forget it's a mechanic. Unbound A-Bomb. You fight him, and you point the breath, so like, oh, fuck, I gotta put myself in a group, man. Private. Yoink. There we go. So say the boss is here. We're going to tank him here. We're going to have him spit towards green. Right? So he picks somebody and he points his dumbass at him and spits. Then we would move to blue and stand on like X-ish and face towards, like we always face. And then we would move towards moon and point him towards like this shit. This is like a kind of poor... These markers are pretty shitty. Moral of the story is you want to point the boss towards where there's already shit on the ground. I don't like pointing it at the wall. I like pointing it towards the middle shit
Vile
better.
expulsion.
Because it can bounce off the wall if there's not enough space, and it does some bullshit where it like lands on you, and it just makes the fight more obnoxious. Put it that
Vile
way.
expulsion.
The cleansing light, make sure you're in your group, and if it's not on you, make sure you're in the light. If you miss one for whatever reason, you can cleanse the dot off. The dot is most of the damage you take on this fight, right? So you can cleanse the dot off if you miss one and your healer doesn't have an extra dispel for you. That's chill. But just like don't miss one. And he's not spawning spores on normal. But anyways, you can Blade Flurry when the spores get close. Like normally there'd be like spores coming in right here.
Vile expulsion.
They fixate the boss once they spawn and just like move towards him. But you can Blade Flurry and get a bunch of wit stacks, and then you also kill the spores as they're coming in, right? Like ideally they're moving through
Vile expulsion.
the goop on the ground already, and before they get to your group, you are hitting them with the old flare, and they're dead, and you're gaining boss damage. Other than that, the boss doesn't do anything. Except give me Azurite, baby. Let's go, dude. Let's look through the dungeon, make sure I didn't miss anything. Dungeon's pretty straightforward, but has like a lot of fair mechanics and a lot of different ways to pull. Well, not different, but they're like subtle differences. Like sometimes you do the tick pack here, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you do these packs, sometimes you don't, depending on fixes. Sometimes you snag in some corruptors for 3%. Like all these corruptors can be pulled without. That's something I should have shown. Take me to the front. I'll show you guys this. All these corruptors can be pulled solo. All 3 of them. So for whatever reason you get to the end and you're like, fuck, we need exactly 18 count. You can pull the corruptors. And they can all be skipped without Shroud. Another little neat thing. You could just get a skip on all of them or pull all of them without interacting with any other mobs. So this boy, and forgive me because I'm a rogue main, so may scuff this. You could just run around in a circle. Then you go through here, and now you're hanging out. You didn't pull any of that shit, right? I guess you could do some, maybe you can do some wild shit over here too. I don't know. Anyways, but you can also, no, don't bounce in. Nice, I didn't bounce in. You can also pull him without getting the worm. He also won't get that corruptor over there too, right?
Abyssal reach.
So here's the young lad. Let's kill this guy. I'm not trying to die in a normal dungeon while I'm recording.
Maddening.
That is not something I want on my resume. So let's kill the young lad.
Abyssal reach.
Then I'll pull these 2, and then once I pull them, I'm gonna vanish them off. So this boy is really fucking easy. Like, it's pretty obvious where you can snag him. But this boy is a little tough. You gotta wait for him to be like, I mean, I think you guys can see the middle, but the middle. I don't think it really needs an explanation. It's more of like, do you know that you can do it or not?
Abyssal reach.
Then the lad comes in, you didn't get worms, and it's like, oh shit, cool. Like, these
Abyssal
mobs
reach.
are obnoxious, but the nice part about them is they don't require kicks. So, like, you can pull an infinite amount as long as you handle the mechanics. Whereas, like, there's other mobs where you just, like, you just run out of kicks. Like, you're completely limited by kicks. There is no option. There is no, like, just play really well and you can pull as many as you want. There is, no, if you don't have the kick for this mob, you cannot pull him. So, stretch with me, boys. Yeah, that's Underrot, man. I like this dungeon a lot. It's like, a lot of the dungeon is just like, how fast can you go? And throughput checks. Like, once you get past the Bloodswarmer room, if you handle the Bloodswarmer room well, you're pretty much chilling. Like, the rest of the dungeon isn't really threatening, but it has stuff that you need. Like, it has enough, like, little jobs that's like, don't fuck this up, but it's also like, this is really hard to fuck up. So it feels fair. Timer feels fair. Bosses are enjoyable. Cragmaw is fucking hard, but that's fine. And that's it. So if you guys like this video or you like the rest of the videos, check out the rest. There's what, 7 more right now. We have 2 left. Hit the video with a like, subscribe to my channel, comment on all my shit to tell me that I'm cool. Follow my Twitch, Undad TV. Subscribe to my Twitch, and send me Hearthstone cards. We're actually gonna play a little Hearthstone today before we get on WoW, I think, or maybe the opposite. Maybe we play tonight. I don't know, but I love Hearthstone right now. Okay. Anyways, thank y'all for watching. I hope this helps you out. Peace out.